Hi everyone, continuing our topic of risk and change management and the vocabulary attached to that. So in this one we are looking at functional language from a leadership perspective, presenting change positively and convincingly to secure that buy-in that we spoke about in the previous tutorial and to involve your stakeholders in perhaps not the decision-making process, but certainly the implementation process. So communication is really, really important. It's not enough to have a good idea or recognize that something is necessary. You have to communicate why it's a good idea or it's necessary. Keep in mind, facts don't convince. Presenting only facts is often not enough to gain support. People are persuaded by the way messages are communicated and by who delivers them. So we need positive communication. Using positive language reduces resistance to change and fosters trust, making individuals more open and motivated to engage with new initiatives. We need clarity and empathy. We've spoken about empathy before in the course. Leaders must combine clear messaging with empathy to acknowledge concerns and connect emotionally, which strengthens buy-in and reduces fear and resistance, importantly. So the key functions of great communication serves to inform, motivate, reassure, and inspire. These are all critical for successful change management messaging. So an example would be, the change will streamline our work and open new opportunities. Streamline whose work and opportunities for whom? Well, that's to be debated, but it's being presented in a positive way and not change just for the sake of change. So positive framing is really important. Use constructive language that highlights benefits, such as we're improving efficiency, instead of negative terms like cutting costs. They mean the same thing. Literally improving efficiency and cutting costs mean the same thing. But one has a much more positive connotation. One sounds proactive and optimization. The other one sounds like you're responding to an emergency. So it's the same idea but framed in a different way. Positive framing is really important. Emphasize growth and opportunity with phrases like, this will help us grow, to inspire confidence and forward momentum. Get people looking to the future that they feel that they are part of, and that should help with the buy-in process. Inclusion. Foster a sense of teamwork by saying, we'll do this together, which encourages collaboration and shared responsibility. Something you guys can think about is to practice reframing negative sentences into positive ones to build skills in delivering encouraging messages that motivate and reassure. So we had that example. Don't say we're cutting costs. Do say we're improving efficiency. Can you guys think of any other examples of things that could be presented negatively but could be presented positively? What do you think? Some useful phrases that we can use to build our communication around. We can use phrases like, we're moving towards a more efficient model, as opposed to we're trying to cut costs. Our goal is to create a smoother experience for everyone, as opposed to we've had a lot of complaints about the user interface, right? So we're always emphasizing and thinking about what can we do better, and perhaps not the reason that it's necessary to do it better. Highlight opportunities. We've identified some exciting new opportunities. Now, how exciting those opportunities are in reality remains to be seen. But we're talking about restructuring, we're talking about new types of jobs, we're talking about maybe new projects, new products, depending on what type of business you're in. Focus on benefits. Avoid terms like new policy or restructure and instead highlight benefits. This change will help us stay competitive, for example. If you talk about new policy or you talk about restructure, it's neutral. If you say the company's being restructured, that is neither good nor bad, that's just information. But if you start talking about the advantages, say the company's been restructured and we believe this change will help us stay competitive. Okay, now I get it. Even better, just say we're making some changes in order to help us stay competitive and just focus on the goal. Encourage acceptance. Use clear, benefit-led language that connects with listeners' interests and reduces resistance by focusing on how change improves their experience. Keep in mind, people mostly want to know, am I still going to have a job? Is my job going to get harder? If it is going to get harder, am I going to get more money? Right, these are the three big questions that most employees will have about any change. It's important to acknowledge concerns. We spoke earlier in the course about empathy. Showing empathy acknowledges the emotional impact of change, making people feel heard and valued, which fosters trust and cooperation. Your people might have worries, and those worries might be perfectly legitimate. So you can use things like, I understand this may feel like a big shift. That recognizes uncertainty and validates feelings without minimizing the concerns. Your feedback is important to us. This invites participation and signals that opinions will influence decisions that people will be listened to. Offering support is not just a nice thing to do, it's completely necessary if you're talking about substantial change. We'll support everyone through this process. Let's talk about how this impacts your team. It's these kind of phrases that show we've considered what this might mean for you. Let's talk about it. Try and build confidence. We've faced challenges before and succeeded. So when people are worried about the size of change or the speed of change, look guys, we've managed similar things before. This is not such a big deal. We're in this together as one team. strengthens unity and collective commitment, as long as you're not very obviously being a hypocrite, as long as it genuinely seems like you're in one team. Highlight individual importance. Your role is crucial to making this work. There's a lot that can have a lot of impact, because if someone is thinking about, their role in a huge multinational business, what a difference it can make. Did you say, you know what, Adam, your role is crucial to making this work. So especially if you use the person's name, they're going to know, okay, I do have a role to play here. We spoke before in the course about how powerful it is to use people's names. Frame change positively. The change is an opportunity for professional growth. So that means, yeah, your job is going to get harder. But think of it in terms of professional growth. So obviously we have the team, we have our workers, our staff, our team members, but we also have other stakeholders to think about too. So you might have to present this to local councils, to shareholders, to committees, to regulatory boards. Could be lots of different stakeholders depending on the circumstances. So you want to make sure you give data-driven statements. Present facts clearly with phrases like, the data supports this direction. Think about strategy alignment, especially internally. Demonstrate how the change fits long-term goals using expressions such as, this aligns with our long-term strategy. And we're going back to when we saw company values and mission statements. Whatever you're doing should be in line with your values and mission statements. Value focus. Highlight benefits with phrases like, here's the value this change delivers. So again, we come back to, it's not just change for the sake of change. It should be a demonstrable reason for this change. Risk management. Reassure stakeholders by stating, we've developed a clear plan to minimize risk. So don't worry about it. We've already thought about the risks. It's under control. So in order to achieve buy-in, we need to use the language of inclusion and collaboration. People need to feel like they're part of the process. So encourage participation by asking for ideas and implementation, showing that every opinion is valued and essential for success. Doesn't mean you have to use all the ideas or even give them serious consideration, but give space for those ideas to be put forward. Encourage idea sharing. Use questions that prompt creativity and problem solving, such as seeking ways to improve processes or smooth transitions. Remember, if you've got people who are working 8, 10, 12 hours a day in a very specific process, and you are a manager or a leader with a sort of overview of everything, probably these people are going to have quite precise insights that you don't have and know the reality on the ground that you might not. So it's always worth asking. And I appreciate some corporate cultures, some general cultures, it's not really the done thing. But if you have someone doing a particular job, let's say 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, for the last 5 years, they're an expert. They're an expert in that job. So ask them what they think. Promote joint action. Highlight collaboration by suggesting working together on the next steps, reinforcing a sense of shared responsibility and teamwork. And then, again, coming back to the idea of framing things positively. So we've got some do's and don'ts. Positive phrasing. Let's work together to foster collaboration and ownership. We've been exploring ways to improve our processes. We're not changing just to change, we're improving. We're excited to share some updates with the team. Positive, confident language encourages open dialogue and motivation. Inclusive phrasing builds trust and reduces resistance, hopefully. Things to avoid. You have to complete this by the deadline. Sounds directive and controlling. There's no input, there's no collaboration, it's just an imposition. Management decided this approach. This takes away any sense of ownership, inclusion. If something has been completely decided without me, why do I care how well it goes if I'm being excluded? Don't see, unfortunately, this change is necessary because it sounds like we're reacting to a crisis, which we may be, but we want to frame it more positively than that. It also gives the idea that this is a bad change and we shouldn't be making changes that make things worse. Avoid language that implies blame or compulsion. We always focus on processes and results, not the individual who may or may not be responsible. Negative phrasing can increase resistance and reduce engagement. So key takeaways. Lead with clear benefits to highlight the value of change. Acknowledge concerns empathetically to build trust and understanding. Use inclusive, forward-looking language to foster collaboration and optimism. Avoid negative or passive expressions to maintain engagement and confidence. This is a positive change. This is a change that we want to make. This is a change that you're going to benefit from. This is a change where we would value your input. This is what we're trying to get towards. Thanks very much, guys. I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye.